going to be on our way. Okay, so welcome everybody. So glad to have you guys here at this webinar. We're going to talk about 3 ways that you can quadruple your social media results. And I am super excited to tell you guys about how you can do this. I have done this with lots and lots of my clients. For those of you who are just joining, again, welcome to the webinar. I do welcome your questions through chat or through questions. Those are 2 places on your control panel that you can use to ask me whatever questions you have as we go out throughout the presentation. If you want, you can also wait until the end and you can ask your questions at the end. There's going to be lots of time in between. So today's webinar, I appreciate you guys are taking your time out to join with me today. Should take about half hour, 45 minutes. In those half hour and 45 minutes, I am very much hoping that I'm going to share with you some things you have maybe heard about but never tried, and maybe you haven't tried it because you just simply don't know how. And so part of my job is to make sure that I can operationalize your social media programs. So that's kind of where we're going to start from. Okay, some of you are also just saying that you don't have any sound. If you don't have any sound, all you need to do is actually go to your audio and choose either telephone or your mic with speakers. Okay, so if you don't have audio, if you can't hear, you just need to go there. So I'm just going to answer the question really quickly to go and do that. Okay, so for those of you who either can't stay for the full session or you've registered, for those who registered, obviously they're not going to be here right now. I am recording this webinar, and so I will send you a link once it is rendered so you can have it for your archives. So that's kind of one of the added benefits of actually participating with me today on the webinar, is that you're all going to get the link. Okay, so I'm really excited to be able to do that. So some people are saying that there's no sound. I'm not too sure why. I do social media very well, but technological stuff, not so much. Okay, let's dive in. 3 ways to quadruple your social media results. And how exactly am I going to help you do this? So the first thing we want to start doing is we want to stop wasting time and money on social. So many people say that one of the reasons they don't go into social media is because it wastes so much time. It takes so much time to find content. It takes so much time to, try to figure out which social network you should be participating in, and then you end up doing nothing. And I'm sure most of you, again, I know some of the folks that are here on the webinar, I've talked to you one-on-one, you've expressed that this is kind of your reality. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to shorten the time it takes for you to actually start generating money through social networking. A lot of what I'm going to be focusing on today is on Facebook. Per capita, Canadians use Facebook more than any country in the world. Most of the people on this call are Canadian, but it pretty well goes for anywhere in North America. So either Canada, United States, a lot of people use Facebook. And Facebook is where I can get you amazing results. And I'm going to share with you some of those stats in just a second. Okay, so that's sort of the first level of business that we're going to cover today. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to show you how I have, with my clients, to help them reduce their social media marketing cost by 75%. But that still allows them to get amazing results. So imagine, if you're spending even $100 a month, you have $50 a month, and you're really kind of not really seeing much going on with it. Imagine spending that much money, but quadrupling the results that you're seeing today. And this stuff I'm showing you guys, it's not complicated. It's something that you can walk away with today and start accomplishing for you and for your business. Super important. The second thing I'm going to show you is ways I've created sales funnel on Facebook. So they start from Facebook and they've generated over $100,000 per year in sales for some of my clients. This can be you as well. I would hazard to say that some of you, if you really dedicate yourself to what I'm talking to today and you implement what I'm going to be sharing with you, you can exceed $100,000 per year easily just by doing the stuff that I'm telling you to do today. So I don't know about you, but that makes me salivate. I get really excited when I start thinking about finding a way of using my social media to create a sales funnel that will deliver results. And again, for those of you who know me, you know that that's what I'm all about. I'm not just about building profiles for pretty pictures and wonderfully written status updates. That's nice, but come on, like we're all in this for the money, right? So let's figure out how we can do that. I'm going to show you some of the sales funnels that I've created, some examples of what you can do today to start creating your own sales funnel. And it's not that complicated, my friends. If I can do it, I assure you, you can do it too. And the last question comes into something that people always ask me is like, when do I get someone else to manage my social media program, or when do I manage it myself? So there's some very simple questions I'm going to be able to ask you today. And when we get to that part, I highly recommend you whip out a piece of paper and a pen, because you need to answer yes or no to these 10 questions. 10 super simple questions. It's a yes no answer. And if you have more than 5 no's to these 10 questions, then that's going to bring a result for you. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself there and deliver to you all my secrets all up at once. So this is what we're going to cover today in the webinar. Like I said when I began, so for those of you who have just joined, welcome, welcome. I will be recording. This is actually recorded session. So for those of you who are attending, if you can't make it for the whole thing, I know we're all busy people. I will be sending you the recording afterwards. So look out for that. Okay, let's get going with this party. Except before we get started, I want to kind of qualify who this is good for. So the stuff I'm telling you is super exciting. It's great, great, great. But there's 4 reasons why you should basically hop off the call right now. The first one is if you have 0 social media budget, or you don't see how it's going to help your business. To be honest, this webinar is probably not for you. The second one is if you think that you can set up your program and leave it on autopilot, this webinar probably isn't for you. There is a time commitment that is required as part of this program. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to minimize the expense side, the side where you're going and creating ads or you're building content and all that kind of a thing. I want to minimize that so you can maximize the time you spend on there generating revenue. However, there is a time commitment. You can't just leave it on autopilot. I call those ghost accounts, and where you can kind of punch your fist through it, but there's no response. There's nothing happening. And so again, if that's kind of what your expectations are, probably not the webinar for you. You're welcome to stay on and listen, but you're not going to get as much out of it as the people who are saying, okay, you know what, I understand that there is a dedicated time allotment that needs to be made to social media, and then you're willing for that. Third point, if you're brand new to social, that's great. Welcome aboard. It's going to take you a while to get the ball rolling. Okay. Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's okay. That's okay. But the question you have to ask yourself is, are you okay with taking the time to build your account? Okay, so if you're at 0 or 2 or 5 or whatever, close enough to 0, you have to make sure that you're willing to say, okay, there's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be a building curve. Okay, that's what I like to call it, a building curve, where you're taking the time to build up and ramp up and get everything set. And then once everything is in place, then you're really going to start generating results. I'll talk to you about what expectations you can make in the upcoming sessions. So look out for that when we get there. All right, last but not least, if you think you can post content and suddenly you will get the mammoth flow of leads, it ain't gonna happen. This webinar probably isn't for you. Okay, so again, if you can see yourself in any of these questions, these 4 things, by all means stay. We'd love to have you here, but to be honest, you're not going to get as much of it out of people who say no to these 4 things. No, this is not me. I am going to put the time in. I've got a budget that I'm going to set against it. And the nice thing about what I'm going to be teaching you guys today is you don't have to have $1,000 a month budget. Obviously, if you do, you're going to get like ridiculously high results. We have some clients that I deal with that I manage, and they are between $1,200 and $1,400 a month, and they generate like redonkadonk leads. It's really awesome. But you don't have to have a budget that high. When we get to that part of the webinar, I'll talk to you about what a good expectation would be. And so hopefully it, again, will help you set you off in the right direction. So I like to go through these before I get into the webinars, just so that we make sure that everyone's on the same page of what we can expect. Okay, let's get going. So there is a 2-step process to generating leads. The first one is you have to start a sales funnel. And I do that with Facebook ads. The Facebook ads that I create for my clients generate on average a 400% better return than Google AdWords. I've done Google AdWords before. I find it a rather soul destroying place. I did not enjoy it. But the ones that I did on Facebook, and I'm going to show you how you can do that yourself, are your gateway. They're going to be what really starts the ball rolling for you. The second part, okay, of the two-part process is collecting client information and follow-up. Okay, so those are two very important things, and those will be the determinations that, of whether or not you're actually going to make some money off of this one. So I can bring people to your door, right? So I do that with my clients all the time. We bring people to their door. We bring them to their website, right? We give them that experience. But if when they come to that website and then they give you their information, if you don't do anything with it, how can you expect it to convert, right? You guys are the closers. What I'm going to talk to you about today is how you can get more people funneling directly to your door. So all you need to do when they knock is to open it, bring them through, and then qualify them and turn them into an actual client. One of the key things that we're going to be talking about is collecting an email address, but email is a currency. So what I want you to start thinking about right now is, what do you have of value that you can offer to these people? And I'm going to talk about that at length and give you guys a whole bunch of examples that you can use today to start thinking a little bit more carefully and quantify the services that you offer. A lot of people on the call are in the service industry, but even if you have a product, it doesn't matter. You have to look at, if I'm going to give you my email address, so me, Jane Consumer, I'm going to give you my email address. I want something in return. And particularly if you're thinking about millennials. Okay, and I'll say this last point and we'll get really into the webinar. Millennials, what they're expecting is by the year 2020, so that is like 5 years away, they're going to make up about between 45 to 50% of the working class, the working group of people. That is a lot of people. And so that group, that demographic really understands social. So I'm so glad that everybody here is on the call, because if you understand this and you're looking to grow your business in the next, 5 to 10 years, okay, you need to understand how those people think. And how they think is simply that they know that their email is worth something to you. They know that if they give it to you, that you're going to do something with it. You're probably going to contact them again or whatever. But if they're going to start that relationship with you, they need to know that they're getting something in return as well. Okay, so those are the kinds of things I want you to start thinking about right now as we get into today's webinar, because when we come to that part, again, if you're taking notes, this is something that you can use to start creating this funnel to generate the leads, to save your money, and quadruple your results. Okay, saving your money. This is the first step of really getting into how we can make your budget awesome. So ads can generate more than leads at a better price than Google ads. So Facebook advertising is awesome. It is great. And it is something that most of us can do fairly easily. It doesn't take a lot of technological know-how. If after this webinar you want a little bit of help, I do have some documents that I can send out to you guys. So please, at the end, I'll give you my email address and you can send that over to me. Most of you obviously already have my email address, but just in case you need it, by all means, let me know. So I'll throw that out there as an additional component. So creating the funnel has two components that will create the ads that will cost as little as 21 cents a click. And the industry average is $1.50. Now that's a pretty significant savings right there. I'm actually going to show you an ad that I'm running right now that is generating 10 cents per click. And I don't know about you, but that's pretty awesome. And so the two pieces that we're going to think about are the image and then targeting the right audience. So these two things are really, really key, because the way that we behave online will dictate how you get in front of the right people and how you make them stop in their tracks, not only see your ad, but click through. So let's talk about the image. We're going to break this down into two parts. So we're starting the funnel. We're talking about the image. Stop people in their scrolling tracks. Okay, so that's what we do. We need to get people's attention. We are scrollers and tappers. If you've got your phone with you, you're scroll, 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 tap, scroll, 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 tap. Or if you're on your desktop, you're just whizzing that scroller down. And what's going to stop you are images or videos that look interesting to you. And there's a formula that I'm going to show you, which will give you the greatest reach and also make sure that you get the greatest amount of attention so that people actually stop and then click through to your ad. So your image, that third bullet is really, really important. Your image is the way of getting hundreds of views or none, like literally zero. And that is definitely a possibility. So what kind of images do you need in order to actually accomplish this? I'm going to start by showing you a bad image. Okay, so this is actually an image for a car insurance company. And what they were doing is they were trying to target people in South Florida. So this, I think, is actually South Beach. So it's got kind of the funky feel. It's got the cool yellow cab. It generated a grand total of zippity doodah views, like none. And what I mean by views, so there's two words. There's the views and then there's clicks, right? Either clicks to a page or clicks to a website. And when you create an ad on Facebook, you can either send people to your page to get likes, right? So that's how you build your online community. Or you can say, I want to send people to a website, and that's where you go to send them for conversion. You need to do both. But regardless, this image was used and it did absolutely jackbo diddly. Why? Well, because first of all, it's very busy. Okay, so that's part of what the issue is. Second of all, there is a lot of blue. And I was actually talking to someone at Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and they said, whatever you do, don't use blue. And I thought that was a funny statement. I'm like, why not blue? She said, because Facebook does not want your ads to compete with their light blue background. And I thought that was interesting. It's like, okay, so because this is a lot of blue, because it's very muted, because it's a very busy picture, and also because there's no red. Red is the number one color that if you do any ad on Facebook ever, use red. We ran a test once against a blue image and a red image. The blue image got literally zero, nothing. I think a grand total of 62 people even saw it, and none of them clicked through. So they had no results. The red one had well over 300, tons of click-throughs, and it was awesome. And what was the difference? The difference was simply the background color. So if you look at it at the image that you're running for your ad, so if any of you guys are running ads right now, and you're looking at them and saying, why isn't this working? Ask yourself this question. How much blue is in my image? How much am I competing with Facebook's own branded color? So when you're looking at an image and you're saying, well, like, how do I create the best image? Think of the rainbow of colors. Red is number one. Okay, so you want to use red as much as humanly possible. If you can't use red, well, what do you use next? Orange, and then yellow, and then green, and then we get into the other colors. Basically, once you pass green, you're into dangerous territory of not having your image shown at all. So this is why this image didn't work. It's busy. Okay, it's a little out of focus on here because I kind of had to blow it up because it's a bit small from where I pulled it from. But the point is, there's too much blue and definitely not enough red. So this is the one they ran after that. So I apologize for the pixelation of the image, but I'm going to explain to you why this image got 400 times the better results than that one, which really wasn't hard because that one did absolutely nothing. On the left, we have the sad, right? This is what I call a compare and contrast. But they've got this sad side, and that's red. You literally have a tear falling from this poor, sad face's eye. And it says, old car insurance rate, $111.50. On the happy green side, we have sunshine blowing out of this guy's eyeballs, and it says new rate, $39.40. It is very clear about what message this ad is trying to convey. I am currently on the sad side of the red. I'm paying too much car insurance. If I simply use these guys, my new insurance rate is going to be significantly lower. Simple math. This is something I really want you guys to think about because quantifying the services that you offer is absolutely critical. I do a lot of work with real estate agents, and I know the majority of people on this call are in real estate. So allow me to use a real estate example for you because that might help. In real estate, many people do staging. And so I like to ask my clients, or when I do some teaching, and I'm like, well, why do you do staging? What's in it for me? Well, the homes, they look better. Oh, that's nice. It's not doing anything to me. If instead you say to me, if I stage your home, you're going to add between $5,000 to $15,000 to the listing price. So basically, you're telling me that you're going to hand me an additional, say, call it $10,000 that I can use to do anything. Put it against my new house that I'm going to be buying. Go on vacation. Upgrade the new house. Or do whatever. I mean, there's so many things that you can think of. Like when I say, what would you do if I gave you $10,000? It gets pretty darn exciting, right? So those are the kinds of things you have to think about. And then when you create one image like this, imagine on the left you have like the unstaged house, right? You've kind of like, it looks okay. There's a lot of really terrible, bad MLS images that can actually be pretty funny. So you have that on the left. And that's the negative side. And by the way, the negative is always on the left. Sorry for any left-handed people. It's not meant as a slight. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how our brains work. So negative on the left, and you have some sort of message, sort of unstaged home, sells, for, X price or X percent of listing value. On the sunny green side, you have the staged home. And you also then put in, the value that staging actually offers. So whether it's staging, whether it's video work that you guys do, if you have a product, what end goal are you solving for people? And most people have two major things that they need you to solve for them. One is time, and the other is money. If you can solve one or both of those things by telling people about a service that you offer and how it generates that for those people, you will win. Okay, that is a message that very few companies, businesses, entrepreneurs, real estate, you call it, none of these people do very well. Okay, if you start doing that and you say, I don't just offer services, I offer you more time, more money, saved money, or any other kind of benefit that you offer. So, one of the things that I like to offer people is the confidence to know simply how to use the social media tools. That's a lot of the reasons why some people don't use social. Or another big reason is they just don't know what to say. I had a great call this morning with a client and just struggle. Every time she went to go write something down, she's like, every time I go to type, I blank. And so, you turn them aside, well, turn away from the computer and just talk to yourself and tell me something about what you're trying to write, and then record that and write it. So even knowing what to say is a big challenge. I study very, very deeply and religiously why people who I target struggle at using social media. So here's a question for you. How much have you studied what your clients need in order to ensure that what you're offering is actually something that delivers value? So that's a very important question to ask yourselves. And I welcome you after this webinar. If you want to reach out and say, okay, Rebecca, this is what I've got. These are my services, and this is kind of how I like to quantify it. I do this for a living, and I really quite enjoy it. So by all means, please do reach out. This is another ad I wanted to show you. This is a video ad I'm running for a client right now in the Mississauga area. And this is the one that I told you at the beginning that is generating great click-through rates. It's 10.75% click-through rate. So this is a video when it runs right at the kind of right-hand side there where you see that the white bar. There's a little button that says learn more, drives people to a landing page that she has created to convert them and to talk to them about this particular home. This is brilliant marketing. It's a very simple video. It's 30 seconds long. Okay, very short and sweet. It's got a wonderful call to action. 10 cents a click. And that is an amazing rate. Remember, the industry average is $1.50. So now you're saying this is something you can do. It's a video ad. They're a brand new type of ad that Facebook has just started launching. So let me give you some advice on this one as well. So remember on the images, I said use red. Well, guess what Facebook told me to do for their video ads as well? Use red. So whether you wear a red tie, a red shirt, you've got something in the room that is red, those colors are going to stand out when you show your video ad. Make sure your background is nice and clear. So you can see in this one, it's very bright. It's very, very clear. Her face is nice and close to the camera. Good sound, good lighting, and red. Those things will help you make sure that if you do a video ad, you're going to achieve success. The optimal length of time is 30 seconds. You can ostensibly do a 20-minute ad. I don't recommend it. What you want to do is keep it short and sweet, keep your message clear, and if this is the one thing you're going to use to actually deliver your quantified services, I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. Okay, so again, video ads are something you can also use very much into your favor, but remember, always use red. Not only, and the using red is for two specific reasons before I go to the step 2 of quadrupling your social media marketing results. The reason why it's so important is because not only is it going to be more highly visible to people on Facebook, but Facebook has an algorithm, and the algorithm decides of all the pictures you put up, which one they're going to show. And they always show the red one first. Okay, so if you remember one thing from the image, one word, one syllable, red. So now we come into, we've stopped people in their tracks. Now, how do we continue to save our money, right? So those ads are really great. Those prices are really exciting. Oh my God, I want to save money. How do I do it? You choose the right audience. Okay, so you manage your costs only by placing your ads in front of the right people 100% of the time. This is the mystery behind how you get to 10 cents, how you get to 21 cents, how you get to what some people I know have gotten down to 5 cents per click. Okay. The right target gives you the best chance of a high quality and high converting leads. So again, we're talking about Facebook, because Facebook is one of the best places where you can use this particular tactic. And so I'm going to show you some examples of how you can start building your audience so that you also can achieve those wonderful sales results. So there are two things, okay, that go into building the right audience. The first is a who. And imagine this is like drawing a circle around your people, right? So there's 1.35 billion people on Facebook. Y'all don't need to go to 1.35 billion people. So what you would do is you would say, okay, what's my location? And that would be maybe the first part of the circle. And then you would say, well, who else do I target? So this is where, again, if you know your target audience really well, this part's really easy. If you haven't really spent some time defining it, maybe you're new to the market or you're not too sure, now is your chance, okay? Because by narrowing down your focus a little bit, now you don't want to make it too small, right? Because if your target audience is too small, your price is going to be really high and your results tend to be lowered. Now, you also tend to get super qualified leads, so there's a bit of a trade-off. What I'm trying to talk about is ways for you to get the maximum reach for the lowest dollar. So don't make my recommendation is to not make your who, that circle, too tight. So you can do geography. You can identify if you want married or single people. Maybe it doesn't matter, so you don't need to choose that. You can do a demographic focus. You can focus against seniors or millennials, families. You can actually go and drill down to people who have children between the ages of 3 and 6. There's lots of ways that you can drill this down. And again, so there's lots of different ideas. If you're in real estate, you can say luxury or entry-level condos, right? So, or again, from a income perspective, you can say, are they the C-suite, CEO, CFO, and so on, or are they more blue collar? It doesn't really matter, other than you need to define this as much as possible as your starting point. Okay, so that's called your who. Once you've defined your who, we then go into the what. And this is where the magic happens. This is where you can actually go into Facebook, and when you're building the actual ads, there's a little box called interests. So after you've defined your geographic location for, put in that circle, you then have a place where you can identify interests and behaviors. I use interests more than I use behaviors because it's more applicable. But you can actually say, okay, I want to go after people who are very financially focused. So maybe we talk about people who read the Globe and Mail, the New York Times. Maybe you use the word financial, right? So there's lots of different options for you in terms of what you can actually put into that interest to really drill down and find the people who will be most likely to respond to your ad. Okay, so it could be parents. If you are choosing parents, again, you can, up in the demographic, there is a place for you to identify people with children of a certain age. If you're kind of worried about doing that in interests, if you still want to target parents, you can type in things like Parent Magazine, todaysparent.com, kids, and any other word that you can think of or go into thesaurus.com and find that is associated with that. So I ran an ad for someone who had written an ebook for people who were needing to sell an estate. And so one of the things that we did is we went into that interest bar and we typed in estate, appraisal, and we typed in other words associated with it, like unfortunately sad things like funeral and things like that. Anything that would associate someone with being interested in buying or selling an estate. And so these are just some very, very broad examples that you can use. You can focus on people who buy a certain product or buy it at a certain place, right? So if you like people who, or if you want to target people who buy organic, you can write in Whole Foods. You can type in organic foods. You can type in vegan, and there's all these words that you can use that will be creating this audience. So before I go any further, let me explain how Facebook identifies audience. An audience is, or an interest is, if you, say for instance, like a cooking page, and then someone posts something into your newsfeed about maybe Top Chef, and you watch a video, and then someone else posts a Foodie Friday thing, and you click on that as well. So these are all things associated with cooking, right? And if I am now creating an ad and I'm like, find me everyone in this area that likes cooking, you will have a high interest in cooking. Okay, so that's how that works. Interest is defined as things you've participated with on Facebook, ads that you've clicked on, even websites that you have visited after immediately leaving Facebook. It tracks that kind of stuff and will associate that interest with your profile. And so that's what's going to come through. And those are the ads that you're going to be seeing. So if you're ever wondering why you're seeing a certain ad in your newsfeed or on the side, it's because you've been targeted based on the interests that you have or demographics or locations. So the beauty of us running businesses and using this for ourselves is we can say, okay, we want to target these particular people, and we think that we're going to get the highest hit rate for that. So the difference could be, I ran a promotion for one of my friends, and he works in the entertainment business. We did one and we spent $100 and we got about 125 likes. So that was good. The second time we did it, same offer with some really awesome tickets to a Leaf game. But we were much more targeted. We're like, let's go and really drive into interest. So we put in all the names of the hockey players. We put in words like hockey, NHL, all these different things. And we sent that out. For $100, we got 328 likes over a 4-day period. So again, we're not talking millions, but it generated significantly higher results than the first time when we didn't put interests into the audience definition. Okay, so this can really work well for all of you to make sure that you're choosing the right people so that you deliver the right message with the right image to get the highest number of people to click through. And click through is what we want them to do. So here's an example of a what. So this again would be cooking shows. These words you see on your screen, these are all words that you can actually enter into Facebook, into the interests category. And it will identify anyone who has any interests in these topics that you see here. Okay, so again, this is just a microcosm. You can keep on going. For that estates one, I think we entered in about 75 different words. Sky's the limit. Okay, so think of what you offer. Quantify your services, come up with an image that has lots of red in it and also conveys that message as much as possible in a quantifiable way, and then choose the right audience so that you can make sure that every single time you are sending out an ad and spending $1 in social media, you want it to pay back. Okay, so that's what you should be looking for. Okay, a couple of different questions before I move on to the next part of the webinar. So Jason asks, should my Facebook ads send people to my Facebook business page or my website? Well, they should do both, to be honest, Jason. Whenever I manage accounts for clients, I always make sure that I split my budget, and I have half my budget sending people to my Facebook business page, so I grow my audience there. It's important to have people talking and engaging with you, because even though you can still use the ad to drive people to your website, you still want to make sure that you're actually building a community on Facebook. So that's kind of what I do. So think about how much money you want to spend as your social marketing spend, and then allocate some of it to your business page and some of it to your website. And your website, again, has to be a converting website. So that's the only qualifier that I have with your question there. Okay, we're going to talk about what that looks like in just a second. So another question is, I have a Facebook business page, but no active personal account. Do I really need to start participating on Facebook via personal, or will my business suffice? Technically, your business will suffice. But if you're hearing people like, oh, I get like 80% of my business through Facebook, it's going to be the people who actively use their personal and their business page together. Okay, so it's just because when you have a business page, you can share that content to your friends, you can push your content out, and that helps it go viral. Okay, that's just the way that things work. You're using two audiences and you're just sort of moving content from one to the other so that you're promoting your business and promoting your expertise across two different target audiences, basically, or two different spheres of influence is probably a better way of describing it. Do you have to? No, not really, but it will help you. So a lot of people have different reasons as to why they do or do not use a personal account in order to on Facebook. Some people, they have some pretty good reasons. Other people, they just don't want to. So just kind of ask yourself your question: what's getting in your way? What is it about the personal side of Facebook you don't want? I personally use my personal Facebook to connect with all my prospective clients, my past clients, people that I know. And I'm just a little bit careful about what I put on there. I do a lot of filtering because I want to make sure that in all cases I'm promoting myself in a way that is, I'm an ambassador for my own business, right? So I have to make sure that I'm projecting myself in the right way every single time. So hopefully, Jason, that answers your question. Let's see. So, Donnie writes, be interested, not interesting. Right. Well, you need to be both. You need to be interested and interesting. Yeah, it actually takes two. Okay, so the last question from Dawn before I move on is, can I post a new listing on my personal page? Technically, yes, but here's the thing about personal pages and why you need a business page. So if someone says, can I just have a personal page and not a business page? I say no. That's because to use your personal account to move your business forward, it violates the terms and conditions of Facebook, and you run the risk of being delisted, right? So deactivated. You wake up one morning and there's nothing there. Now, what I prefer to do, Dawn, to answer your question specifically, is I will post my listing on my business page and I might share that to my friends, but I might not do it with every new listing I do. Depending on how active you are, you might find that you put maybe every other one, or maybe a featured listing, or one that you think that your friends would either be interested or would know people who would be interested in seeing that particular listing. Okay. And so that's kind of one thing you can do. So here's a free advice for you guys, actually, not just about real estate and listings, but just in general. Two things you can do to get high organic reach. So what I'm talking to you guys about today is paid reach. Okay, so this is paid advertising. But a lot of people say, well, do I really have to spend money? Yeah, you kind of do. Facebook is now a pay-to-play environment, but that doesn't mean you can't get good and solid organic reach. Two things. Use the word congratulations. When you use the word congratulations, Facebook thinks, whoa, this is like a big celebratory thing. I wanna promote this. And they'll push that particular piece of content to the top of a newsfeed. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. So wherever you can use the word congratulations, use the word congratulations. Okay, so that's one thing you want to do. The other thing is to upload more than one picture at a time, right? So 2 to 3 pictures at a time. So instead of just including a link and that's it over to your website, if you have a new listing, or if you have a product, just send it over to your product. Include a link in your status update, right? So, write something about it. For more information, visit www.thiswebsite.com. But instead of having the link appear below that, upload 3 pictures. What Facebook thinks, again, when you upload 2 to 3 pictures or more at one time, they're like, oh, wait a second, someone's celebrating something. And they will again push that to the top of the newsfeed. So by incorporating those two things, congratulations and uploading pictures, those are some tips for how you guys can get a high organic reach as well. So it doesn't always have to be just for paid reach. So Jordan asks, congratulations or hashtag congratulations? Just the word congratulations is fine. Hashtags are not necessary. Okay, so in terms of hashtagging, hashtagging can help because Facebook actually rewards pages that use hashtagging, but it's more the word congratulations and the photos that's going to give you a bigger boost. Okay, so there. More advice on how to get organic reach in addition to the paid stuff we're talking about right now. Let's get into the fun. I consider this the fun part anyway. This is where the rubber hits the road and we are able to really start generating leads. One of the things that really irks me about these quote unquote social media gurus is people will go up to them and say, well, like you're posting great stuff, but it's not getting anywhere. Oh, well, that's to be expected. And you should post for 2 years and then eventually it'll convert. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not about to wait 2 years for my leads on Facebook to convert. I would like something a little bit more instantaneous. So what you need to do is you use the power of Facebook and the targeting audiences that you can create there. And like I mentioned for the question earlier of do I send them to my page or do I send them to my website? You do send some of them to your business page and you grow that. But you should also reserve at least half your budget to send them to your website. But it has to be a website that converts. Okay? So if you are trying to get me to go to your website, I see your ad on Facebook. I think it's absolutely awesome. What do I do when I get there? Do you want me to give you my email address? Do you want me to call you? If I land on your website, am I landing exactly where you want me to do something? Okay, so for some of my clients, they'll have a website that I can either mess around with and create the kind of landing page that I'm looking for, or I create a secondary landing page using a system called it's called leadpages.net. Now I'm going to post that into chat. And I haven't seen anybody put any chats here, so I'm going to hope you guys can see it. But leadpages.net, I just posted that in the chat. So again, if you can't see chat, do click on the little orange arrow. It is pointing to the right. Click on that and you should be able to see the lead page. Okay, so it's leadpages.net. So that's something that we're going to create. Okay. So if you can't see that link that I just posted, it is a possibility that the chat isn't working, but don't worry. What I will do is when I send you through the recording for this webinar, I will send you the leadpages.net website so that you guys can go there as well. Really, really simple lead pages that you can create that are very, very simple. Okay, so I'm going to your website. I'm going to your landing page. You want my information because if I'm just a visitor, I am of no use to you whatsoever, like absolutely none. You need to get me out of social media and you want me to land on your website, but that's just the gateway to getting me out of the online and social environment and into your office, into your store, into your e-commerce environment where I can actually close the deal with you. Okay. Most of the people that I talk to, they get lots of business from referral. And they say, if I can just get in front of somebody, I can close 80, 90, 100% of the deals. Well, this, my friends, is how you get them to get one step closer to being in front of you. So the most basic piece of information that you should ask to collect from people is an email address and a name, right? Preferably first and last. You can go really fancy and you can use some custom content. You can do questionnaires. You can have videos that people can see. You can drive them to a backend CRM that integrates with your business. Some of you may already have a CRM system. CRM, by the way, stands for Customer Relationship Management. And a customer relationship management system simply means that if you have a website and someone enters in something into a contact form, that it automatically comes into you, alerts you to the fact that you have some new content, and then filters them properly so that they get allocated into a certain category, right? Client, prospect, whatever have you. Okay, so that's what that particularly means. In all cases, you have one job: create an ad that drives people to this lead generation site, and then offer them something of value that they can access immediately. Okay. Now, again, if you are trying to convert anybody younger than 30 years old, even 35 years old, they're very, very, very aware that their email is a currency for you and it's worth something. Okay. So it's absolutely critical that they're like, okay, I'm going to give you this. What am I going to give back? And I've got 4 kids, and let me tell you something. They want something immediately, if not sooner. And yesterday would have been nice, right? And so with this kind of an environment in which we're working, we really need to make sure that if you're using your website or you're using lead pages, and Bob just mentioned that leadpages.net is also on mobile, which is awesome. It's a mobile enabled system. I use it. Looks like Bob uses it too. Hands up to Bob. But you have to make sure that it's something of value. And remember at the beginning, and I'm actually kind of all the way through, I was saying to you, quantify what you have to offer. Is there some way that you can describe in a way that will be meaningful to me how if I take this piece of information, my life will be better? Okay, so for instance, again, I'm just going to use a very simple real estate example. Real estate agents or anyone dealing with houses or homes of any kind have one awesome opportunity, and that is to help people with figuring out how they can make more from their largest asset. Okay, so I live in a home. If you post something on Facebook, an ad that says get $50,000 more in the value of your home in the next 6 months, I'm like, what? I can add 50 grand to the price, the value of my home? Well, for me, it's a long-term equity play, but still, it could be, I could be someone who wants to sell in 6 months. Well, that would be fantastic if I can put in money that would generate that much more value for me at the back end, right? So see that out on Facebook. Land on your website or on lead pages. Okay, so lead pages, you create your own simple lead page, and it has that same really awesome message. What I download needs to be something that I can do to actually accomplish that. So it can be, the 10 most valuable renos that you can do to your home to increase its value by $50,000. It doesn't have to be just one thing that I can do. It can be 10 things, right? And so when I see that, I'm just like, oh, wow, that's awesome, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to give you my name. I know you need my email address because how else am I going to get this document, right? You're not asking me for my phone number. Why would you need my phone number? People get kind of leery when you ask for information that's not necessary for the delivery of that particular document. Okay, so just be really careful in terms of how you do that. So Donnie, you would actually ask for an example. I've given you one. I'm actually going to show you one too. So again, you've actually asked a right question. Another question coming through is, what CRM do you recommend? There's lots of them out there. Top Producer is one that I've heard people use. Contactually, I really like that one. It's great for reminding you in terms of when you should contact people. So once you get someone coming into your funnel, you need to make sure that you've got a really good lead program set up to either put them on a drip campaign or contact them on a regular basis. Contactually is another one. So again, I will put that into the email I will send you with the recording of this webinar. Okay, so Contactually is great. Insightly is another good one. It's mostly free. I say mostly, it's free up to a certain point. If you really want to get fancy, I use Infusionsoft. And while rather complicated, they have lovely coaches, but that one gets pretty intense. So for the clients that I manage, I use Infusionsoft to be the CRM system that most of them don't have. And I put them through that. And that's how we make sure that the lead pages are automatically, any kind of contact from the lead pages are automatically sent on. So hopefully that answers some of those questions that you guys have. Okay. So specifically, Donnie, again, you wanted an example for real estate. Ta-da! Here you go. This is a home seller's guide that we created. Very, very simple. Now, there are a gazillion templates that you can use by using leadpages.net. I looked at a couple of different offers out there. I personally like leadpages.net the best. There are a few others, but this is the one I recommend. So this is the template we used. See that phone number up at the top right? When you're on a mobile device, that's actually a live link. And if I see this on my phone and I click on it, it actually is going to call that number. Seriously shortens the time it takes for people to get in touch with you. And that's what this is all about, right? Donnie's excited. Woohoo! Okay, so free home seller's guide. Get over 15,000 or more by selling your home the right way. And so by pushing this out, this particular realtor is saying, not only is what I'm saying going to give you more money, I know how to do it. Okay, so on this page, the first page, you'll notice they're not asking for anything. There's no ask for the email address. And the reason for this is simply that when you have a lead page that has an email address right on it, people bounce off because like, oh, wait, you're asking for way too much. I haven't been able to digest what it is you put on here before you're already asking me for an email. So what you do is you create this sort of like this like a two-step process where you have this landing page and it describes the value that what it is that you're offering. Okay, so again, if it's $50,000 added to the price of my home, $15,000 by selling it the right way. If you have a product that you're trying to push, what is it going to give me? Right? What is my end goal? That this particular document and ultimately your product or service is going to offer to me. You describe it here. And then you have this little download button. So when you hit the download button, you get this simple screen. Your guide is ready. Now you ask for the email, name, first name, last name, and email. Okay, again, you can add a whole bunch of other things to this as well. But these are the ones that we're using because other than these, you really can't justify asking for any more information, even a phone number. Okay, so again, once they hit get it now, they get an email and it immediately delivers this, in particular case, the home seller's guide. It immediately goes into their inbox. The second thing that happened is they get a follow-up email because according to Canadian Castle rules, you have to, in order to be able to follow up with these people, they have to double opt in. Just providing their email address and saying get it now does not cover you for the Castle laws. You have to double opt in. And so you have to then send a secondary email saying, thank you for this download. In order to continue getting more information as awesome as this, just need you to click this link. Okay, and then they click the link and then they're done. And that's considered a double opt-in, and that is considered allowing you to legally contact these people once you have their information. When I run these kind of things, my double opt-in is at about 90%. So you don't get a huge fall off, but it's really, really important for you to make sure that you do ask for that question. Okay, so a question coming in from Jordan, is it bad to ask for phone number even if it shows as optional? If you put it as an optional, then that's okay. Absolutely, you can put that in because you can make fields optional and you can make them required. Okay, do make sure that name, first name, last name, and email are required, and then you can put a bunch of optional fields in there as well. Another thing you can do is like, well, Rebecca, some of my internet leads, they really stink. Like they're really quite awful. You can actually add different fields in here and maybe ask one or two questions that you believe, depending on how they answer, will identify them as a high quality, medium quality, or low quality lead. Okay, so this lead page can do more for you than just collect an email. It can help you qualify, and that's not a bad thing. Usually the maximum number of fields that you want people to fill in order to get a document is between 5 to 6. Okay, after that, there's a pretty big drop off. Just make it relevant, right? Just think about if I'm going to give you something about a house, right? How much information about you should I know? So again, ask yourself, is it reasonable? Is it logical that someone want to give me this information? Because if you ask for things that are too specific and too personal, you're going to get a big drop off. You're going to get a great click through, but you're not going to get a high conversion. And sometimes, quite frankly, my friends, it's going to be a little bit of testing, right? Test and learn, test and learn, test and learn until you get it right. But this is a formula that I've been using for a lot of my clients. It's actually a form that I use for myself using leadpages.net, and I integrate it with my backend CRM system, and it works absolutely wonderfully. Okay, so whether you use leadpages.net or whether you have a really great system that you're already using for your website, it doesn't matter, but the tenets of what I'm telling you, absolutely critical. If I'm going to give you my email address, and that is what leads to conversion, okay? Not conversations on Facebook, not retweets on Twitter, sometimes a personal communication on LinkedIn. But again, that's a kind of a different kettle of fish. But when we're talking about let's get in front of the maximum number of eyeballs as possible, drive this qualified group of people to this page and convert them, you need to make sure that you've got something that they're actually going to want. Okay, so really give thought to that. If after today's webinar, again, you are struggling, please do reach out to me. I'd love to be able to help you do this. Like I said, I do this for a living. Would love to sort of direct you in the right way. I would rather you ask me a question or two and not struggle than to not ask me the question and do nothing with this information because you hit an obstacle and you hit a crossroads. Okay. Last but not least, how do you figure out whether you should go in-house or hire an agency? So an agency is someone that just manages your account for you. It's the age-old question. It's been around forever, ever since social media went mainstream. Agencies have cropped up to say, you don't want to do what you do best. We will manage this for you. Okay. I'm going to give you 10 questions. So this is where you get the pen and paper out, and you want to ask yourself whether or not you can answer yes or no to these 10 questions. And usually, if you say no to 5 or more of these questions, chances are you probably should get someone to manage your account for you. Okay. So let's go. Question number 1. You have fewer than 2,000 targeted followers on Twitter. Okay, by targeted followers on Twitter, I mean like people that you didn't buy. Twitter is full of robots and it's really easy to buy leads. So these are people that you have organically grown yourself. So if you have fewer than 2,000 targeted followers, not following, followers on Twitter. If you have fewer than 200 fans on your Facebook, and this is your business page, okay, so when I say fans, it's business page. If you don't know what the acronym DM means, okay, so if you're scratching your head trying to go, and you don't know what that means, again, you would answer no to that question. If you have fewer than 20 conversations on Twitter per day. If you post fewer than 10 times per day on your Twitter, to your Twitter audience. Okay, that includes mentions, replies, retweets, and organic stuff. Okay, so that's what all that encompasses. So those are the first 5 questions. Less than 2,000 leads on Twitter, fewer than 200 fans on Facebook. You don't know what DM means. If you have fewer than 20 conversations on Twitter per day, that's sort of going back and forth with people, and you post fewer than 10 times a day on Twitter. So those are the first 5. Let's go to the next 5. You post less than once a day on your Facebook business page, your fan page. If you take more than 2 hours to respond to comments on Facebook and Twitter. On Twitter, what they usually recommend is that you have about 24 seconds to reply to someone on Twitter. It's a really fast-moving environment. If you don't know what FF, hashtag FF or RT mean, if you don't have a list of customers that you engage with each week, and if you read and retweet fewer than 5 posts of your followers each day. Okay, so if you're looking at those and you're going, no, I post less than once a day. I have, 38 people on my Facebook page. I never retweet anybody's stuff ever. If you're having those kind of comments to 5 or more of these things, usually what I tell people is that's a good indicator of the fact that maybe getting someone to help manage this for you is the right way to go. But there's also a cost calculation that you need to make. And this is what, whenever I'm talking to people about whether they go through my coaching program or they go through my social media management program, because I offer both, this is the math you need to do. Okay. Think about how much time you put into your social media program and multiply that by your estimated hourly rate. If that amount is less than what an agency would charge, perhaps you can just go with coaching. If, however, that is more than, so what you calculate in terms of what you would spend versus what an agency would spend is more, maybe it makes sense for you to get someone to help manage it for you. Okay, so that's kind of the very simple mathematical calculation you need to make to say, is it worth it for me to do this myself, right? And it's cost effective, and I can probably, if I can swing it, if I can just get a little bit of direction, then I can do this myself, okay? That's when you get the coaching. Not everybody's an expert on social, and sometimes you just need a little bit of a leg up in order to figure out how to do it better, but you really think that you can manage this yourself. If, however, you love the idea of social, you get it, you're on board, that's great, but you really don't have time and no one on your team has time, and so you don't want to make that investment, then maybe it's time for you to think about getting an agency. Okay? So those 10 questions, do this quick math. So hopefully it's not too painful, but you can do that math, and that usually will spit out the answer as to whether or not you should go in-house or agency. Okay, so that concludes everything that I wanted to share with you guys today. It is exactly 2 o'clock, so I know some of you guys have got places to go. I will hang around for questions. I'm really sorry that apparently chat is not working, but there should be a question box that I've been following that I can answer your questions for. But before you guys go, If you would like to set up a one-on-one consultation with me to try to figure out whether or not coaching is better for you or management is better for you, or you're just trying to understand kind of what you should do and what next steps you should take, on your screens is a lead URL. There we go. There's the word URL that will take you to a very simple landing page. And then read through the information there. Again, there's some qualifying stuff about kind of what you want to do. If you want to set up a time with me to go over your situation and your business and how you want to use social media, there's a yellow button at the bottom. Click on it. There's 10 very short questions that I need you to answer, and then I'll be in touch. Now, some of you have already answered that questionnaire, and I'm going to be getting back to you later on this week. So thank you so much for answering those questions in advance. About 18 people are already in the queue. But please do, if you really want to have some time with me, there's 45 minutes. I will dedicate it just to you. This is not a group call, and I'll be able to help you figure out if you want to spend a minute on social media and you want it to pay back properly, right? I want to make sure that we do this in the right way. Okay, so quick question here. We have Twitter. Is Twitter absolutely necessary, or is Facebook enough? So Yuri, quite frankly, if all of your clients are on Facebook and if you think I have enough time to do one social media network only, then I suggest you do that one and you do it really, really well. That's what I would answer that question. Is Twitter absolutely necessary? It depends on your business. It depends on your target audience. But what I would suggest is figure out where your clients are online. And if you can only spend the time on one, pick one and do it very, very well. Iris, thank you so much. I've seen a couple of people put up their hands. Okay, so I'm going to unmute people now so they can sort of ask their questions and we can answer them live. And then when they're done, I'll mute you back. So Reed, I'm going to start with you. Hello, Reed. Reed. Nope, Reed's gone. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can put it into the question box. Some people are raising their hands, but apparently the technology is going to fail me, but that's okay. Phyllis, I have a product for sale, red pepper jellies. Oh, now I'm hungry. Do these have the same things apply? I don't know what collecting email addresses would do. I just want a sale. So the way I would answer this question, Phyllis, is if you have an e-commerce website, okay, so you have a place where I can buy online. Okay, so you would create the Facebook ad and you would drive them to your e-commerce website. All right, so that's something that you can do. I'm assuming that you have a website. Now, so Phyllis, I don't know if you can answer me that question. Do you actually have an e-commerce website? Because if you don't have an e-commerce website, one of the other things you can do is you can create a Facebook ad. Maybe you have an offer that you can give to people and you can say, click through, and you can create a lead page that allows them to put in an email, just kind of register. And then when they come in to buy your product, like if you have like a bricks and mortar, you can have a list there. So when they come in, they can say, I saw your ad and I registered. And then they can get their discount or whatever kind of an offer that you're having there. So that's an option for you. So okay, if you're working on it, that's great. If you have bricks and mortar right now, that's one thing you can do. If you want, you can even collect the email address if you have neither of those things and you're just building your business like I did from your house. One of the things you can do is think of how people buy your product. Do they need a phone number? Do you need an email address? Like, what is it that you need? Collect that information using the lead page, right? Drive them from Facebook to the lead page, collect that information. And then again, if you need to contact them to give them the product, then that's how you would actually accomplish that. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. So Craig is saying it's 24 seconds to respond to on Twitter. How does one get anything done during the day? Wow. You get it done because when you manage your social media program the right way, right? So that in the expense side, building the ads and building the content, that's what takes up most of the time. Once that's done, if someone is responding with you, now remember, only 10% of people ever really talk to you on social media. 90% of people are what I call lurkers, creepers, and stalkers. They come, they look, they leave, but they don't participate. So you might be posting away on Twitter, but if you can imagine that if you have 3,000 people that are following you and only 10% of them are ever going to say something, That might still sound like a tremendous amount of people, but if you have a system in place where you can respond. So I get notifications to my phone and I respond as quickly as I can. So yeah, 24 seconds is generally what people shoot for. Do they always hit it? Not always. What I like to say is respond as quickly as you can, right? Not everybody's perfect. Not everybody can be there. I teach, right? I'm giving this webinar. So for this hour, I've put my phone away and I'm not going to be answering anything. So obviously it's going to be a heck of a lot more than 24 seconds between my responses to the things that are happening on Twitter. So really what I can say is 24 seconds is what research shows. What I say to you is do what you can do best. Okay, so just go as quickly as you can. Okay. So Phyllis, thanks for adding a couple more answers to my questions in terms of your stuff is online. Drive them to that page, baby. Get them to that place where they can actually seal the deal. Okay. So service people, they need to talk to people, right? There's a couple more steps involved. Sometimes you're going to get a contact through, for service people like myself or others, where you're going to get their email address and you're going to maybe even respond to them. But you know what? It didn't happen. 80% of businesses closed in 12 touches. So if this ad and then your lead page and then your follow-up email are the first 3 steps of that 12-step process, then you know what? You still have 9 more to go. So what I like to look at is look at every step. So one of the things I worked in as a sales manager for a builder a long time ago in a land far away. And one of my salespeople had this brilliant way of looking at it because they do a lot of cold calling, a lot of prospecting, and they hated it. And I took it personally and people said no. What they started looking at is like, okay, it's not how many times I'm being rejected. It's how many no's does it take me to get to yes. And so what you end up doing is you take out the taking it personally side, and instead you look at it's just numbers, right? So, whether you're at service or you're someone like Phyllis where you're driving people to a website, to buy stuff, they might not buy it right away. But if you have their email address, you can remind them, hey, don't forget, there's this on my website, and then there's this on my website, and maybe you have deals, or maybe you have product extensions. And so that's why, Phyllis, collecting that information as someone who sells an actual product can be extremely valuable to you. Having an email database can be an absolute genius business move. So I highly recommend that you build that. And Craig, you are absolutely welcome. Alrighty, so I don't see any more questions. Feel free, guys, to type into the question box whether you have anything more. Please remember this call is being recorded, and I will be sending it out to you, everyone who registered for the webinar, so that you have it for your archives. Please do visit this little URL that you see on your screen right now if you want to set up a one-on-one with me. There is no obligation to it. I'm not going to charge you for it. All I'm going to do is have a conversation with you and say, how can we best make the stuff that I just talked about come to life for you and for your business? Okay, so that's all that's about. So Marie is asking, any comment on Daylight, Max CRM? No, I don't actually know about Daylight. I think I've heard of Daylight. I've heard about it once, but I can't say I'm a terribly great expert. So unfortunately, Marie, you have stumped me with that question. If I find out any more information about it, though, I will definitely give you a reading. Alrighty. Questions, anyone? Just wait for one more minute. See if anybody else comes forth with some questions. Okay, Craig. With products of multi-platform social posting, like Hootsuite, the content may be the same, but messages should be different as interactions are different if what I've learned is correct. So it's a matter of having valuable but different content for both. Absolutely. And it's funny because I often post on Facebook and I'll get more interaction from Twitter because I share my Facebook business post straight to Twitter. And so what often happens is I'll get a conversation happening on Facebook, but different people follow me on Twitter. And so I'll have a completely different conversation with them over on Twitter. It's valuable to both sides. So whether you're posting different content on Facebook and versus Twitter, or you're posting the same and firing it over to Twitter, valuable content is really what's going to matter. And the other thing about content, and I was actually having a great conversation with a client today, or a potential client today, is it's never about you. It's never about you, never about your business, never about how great you are. It's all about how what you do delivers something of valuable to them, right? It's all about like what I talked about, quantifying your business, quantifying your services, right? What does it do for me? And so those are the kinds of things that you need to think about, but you're absolutely on the right path. It's valuable but content, but it doesn't always have to be different. You can make it different, but it doesn't always have to be different. Okay, so you can actually cut yourself some slack there. So Emily was saying that daytime is only for Mac. Um, and so Craig has then multi-platform posting really isn't all that beneficial. It's more a matter of streamlining for each on its own. To be honest, absolutely. Um, I actually don't use any auto posting systems. I used to use Hootsuite, but I don't use it anymore. I auto send my stuff from Facebook to Twitter, but I post a lot more often on Twitter than I do on Facebook. On Facebook, I'm 2 to 3 times a day. On Twitter, I try to get between 10 to 15 times a day, either with posting or retweeting and mentioning and having conversations with people. Just because I have about the same size audience, but it's a very different environment. And if you are going to take, a stab at Twitter, there is a bit of a higher time commitment that you associate with it, but you can actually do a lot of really great business on Twitter. And LinkedIn, again, is completely different. I only post once a day if I post very much at all. Really, LinkedIn is my one-to-one communicator. I will connect with people I strategically want to, either follow up with or convert into a client. And then it's basically an email strategy that I use for that. So that's kind of how I use my multi-platform stuff. But I actually don't even use Hootsuite. Okay, Emily, very good. And Craig, back to you. Understandable, never about you. Absolutely. It isn't about us. Yep. How to win. Oh, here's an excellent for those of you, the 40 that are still on here. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. An awesome book. I would absolutely agree with you 150% that that's an excellent book for everybody to read. So thank you very much for posting that, Craig. So you guys are still really active. So I'm just going to keep hanging around until everyone stops asking questions. Okay. Okay, Jordan, we will definitely talk. So Jordan has some questions about coaching. Absolutely. Reach out to me through email, Jordan. By all means, get in touch. Craig, back at it. Okay. With you posting 2 to 3 times per day and your activity on Twitter, I'm connected with you on both, but I don't see this much coming from you. Oh, yes, there are definitely algorithms that are squishing my content. So the algorithms on Facebook in particular, and a little bit on Twitter, depending on how you set up your tweets, Twitter suppresses everything except for about 3 to 4% of content that goes out on the business pages. So I might be posting 2 to 3 times a day, but you might not see anything for days if Facebook doesn't deem that content to be valuable to you personally. So if you have been interacting with, a certain type of topic, and I post something not related to that topic, and Facebook's like, oh, well, Rebecca posted this, and I know you follow her, but that's really not what you're interacting with on your newsfeed, so I'm not going to show it to her, right? Same thing with Twitter. You can do this thing called tailoring your tweets, and that tailors your tweets based on websites that you viewed and stuff like that, so that can have an effect. So yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to see all the activity that I have, even though I have actually been that active. So it's a huge pain in my butt. That's one of the reasons why Facebook is a pay-to-play environment, because so little organic content gets out. That's why I shared those little tips of congratulations and multi-pictures and stuff like that, because it's just so tough. And especially as your page gets bigger, so mine's over 3,000, and the algorithms get much, much, much more aggressive. Really annoying. Okie dokie. I know. Rats. Absolutely, Craig. Nadia, I still have not made a Facebook biz page. Any advice on where to get a how-to? Sure. Me. Woo. Nadia, I believe you have my email address, because everyone that I invited to this webinar actually is on my newsletter. So if you want, you can send me an email, and I'm looking for a piece of paper so I can actually write down your name so that I can make sure that I send that over to you. I have a book that I can send you that shows you step by step on how you can do that. So Nadia, getting started on Facebook. So I'm going to send you a PDF of that after today's webinar. Okay, so that'll give you a really great start. Thank you, Emily. She said, thanks, it was great. I'm glad you had a good time. Yes, Craig, Facebook is a massive pain in all of our butts. So I wish they would not become more of a pain, but they just seem to specialize in becoming pain in all of our butts. So Valerie, you want a one-on-one? Okay, I will put you in for that. I will contact you through email to set that up. Okay, and then Nadia, okay, I'll send that over to you. Not a problem. Okay, and then I've got to make Jordan is on coaching. Okay, Phyllis, how do you figure out what age groups to target on a Facebook ad? Well, that totally depends on what you do for your own business, right? So, if you depend on your services, your business proposition, the value that you're offering, what geographic area you're targeting, and what ultimately you're trying to accomplish. So, if you're focusing on the seniors market, when you go to select your targeting criteria, there's an age requirement. So, you can say, from what to what ages. So, you can actually do people from 40 to 65 or 20 to 24 or 20 to 35, right? You can actually identify that right on Facebook. And then there's some other characteristics that you can put, like parents. You can put time of life. There's actually one called life stage. It's for people who are boomers. I don't find it's terribly good though. So I usually, when I'm trying to do my age selection on Facebook for the criteria for the ad, I just choose literally from what age range I want to use. You're welcome, Valerie. Red pepper jelly from Phyllis. We should all go buy her red pepper jelly. So actually, Phyllis, if you want, why don't you go post something on my page about what you sell, and that will hopefully get in front of not only people here, but also into the other people who look at my page. And if you want, if you're on Twitter, you can also go ahead and just tag me on Twitter as well. Just mention me using my handle at Bex Mountain, BEX Mountain, and promote what you've got. We'll be happy to help you get that little business started. And everyone likes to eat good food, Phyllis, and that sounds like really good food, and now you've made me exceptionally hungry. That's okay. That's a good thing to do. Okay, so we've ascertained that red pepper jelly is awesome. Facebook is a massive pain in the butt. We've got a couple of people already signing in for some one-on-one sessions. You're welcome, Phyllis. By all means, do share your stuff. And all of you guys are welcome. I know we're down to 37, but you guys are all welcome to tag me either on Facebook or on Twitter if you want to kind of promote what you have to the people that follow me, because I like to be someone who can moderate and help people grow their businesses. Is there any way I can help you guys grow your businesses? That's what I get up in the morning for. Alrighty. Okay, so it is now 2:18. I should probably wrap up the webinar. It has been absolutely a delight teaching you guys today, and I hope you guys got a lot of value out of what we were sharing. One more time, I'm going to be sending you guys the full recording for this webinar, so all the wonderful little puts and takes and things that have been happening throughout the entire webinar. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll probably get this link over to you guys tomorrow. So if you have any questions in the meantime, the URL that you can use is on your screen. By all means, please go ahead and do that, or you can contact me in person through email. Either way, I will absolutely get in touch with you. Wishing you guys all the best, and thank you so much for joining me today.